we inevitably end up working in our area of specialization, concentrate and deepen our intellectual property within our area and our domain of concentration. But it has been proven across the world, across companies, across organizations, and even, if I may say so, across governments, that those companies, those organizations, and those governments that are most productive are only ones that provide a continuous learning platform that not only deepens your engagement within your area of specialization, but along with deepening your engagement, it also broadens your knowledge scope of where your industry is evolving, where external pulls and pressures are pulling your industry or pushing your industry, and how we must continually evolve to become much more productive, to be able to give back much more value to society, and in that aim, in that mission and that vision of giving back much more to society, provide a learning impetus within our own organization. And that is the single purpose of the organization of these Chintan Shivars that we've been having within our ministry. The Prime Minister has been very clear in his articulation that we must, like we evolve learning organizations, we must evolve learning ministries. And therefore, over the last year, year and a half, 2 years, every 6 months or so, we've had a Chintan Shivar that have covered varied topics. Today's 2 topics, both CBAM as well as AI. Both are not only topical, but also are imperative in today's manufacturing era. We all live within the womb of Mother Earth, and while we manufacture for our needs, we must make sure that we must check our greed. Mahatma Gandhi ji once said that the world has enough for everyone's need, but not enough for everyone's greed. And it is our fiduciary responsibility to protect Mother Earth for the generations to come. That responsibility vests on us. And therefore, whether it is green steel, whether it is CBAM, that is the direction in which we must proceed. And let me very clearly state in this forum that in the next decade or two, the whole concept of steel production in the world is going to change. The way we function today will be a thing of the past in the next 2 decades. And therefore, as Prime Minister said, we must reform, we must transform, and we must perform. And that is the mantra that we must all inculcate. And it is through these Chintan Shivars, whether the concept of CBAM and how Europe is looking at carbon emissions. Our carbon emissions are roughly about 2.55, whereas international norms are about 1.58, 1.8 and 1.9. So tons per CO2 per ton of crude steel produced. So we still have a long way to go. And there is paucity of time. And so how are we going to progress quickly down that path towards greener ways of making steel, towards evolving a path towards lower carbon emission? And along with that, a partner in that progress will be the concept of AI, and how artificial intelligence will enable us at a very lower cost through the use of technology to put in places, as our esteemed panelists have enlightened us, whether it's to do with safety, production processes, new innovative solutions. All of that gamut of activity will be encased within AI in the years to come. Both of these concepts are prevalent today, and therefore they were chosen for today's Chintan Shivir. I must say that I walk away enlightened, and I must thank our panelists for both our sessions, and we must have a round of applause for both of them. Very clear in their articulation, have been extremely helpful. But what I would like all of us to do for the next Chintan Shivir, the one thing that I did notice in this is that while the enlighteners were on the stage, there weren't enough probing questions from all of us that were in the audience to further enlighten our own path. So we must do a little bit of reading before we come to these Chintan Shivers on the topic that have been chosen. We must always come with some prepared questions, which may sound very simplistic to the panelists because they are specialists in their field, but we are novices in this area. And therefore, through your elementary question, also you will be enlightening a lot of your brothers and sisters who are present in this room. And therefore, do not be shy, do not be reticent, do not think that it's too simple a question that you're asking, because a simple question also can bring with it tremendous amounts of knowledge for the community. And therefore, please be inquisitive, because in your career and in your path, it is your level of inquisitivity and your level of desire to pursue knowledge and broaden your perspective, deepen your perspective, both, that will lead to your ultimate success. That is one of the reasons why we have the dashboard meeting every Monday. Generally, otherwise, within ministries, everyone tends to work in their silos. When their topic is complete, they go off and go back into their silo. But when you work on a dashboard, you understand the whole of ministry approach. Just as the Prime Minister wants us to understand the whole of government approach. And therefore, it is imperative that for your career path to also progress, you both widen and deepen your knowledge base. And it is through Chintan Shivers like this that I have personally been extremely enlightened and increased my knowledge base. So I must thank our panelists in both our panels, 3 in one and 4 in the other, that have done a tremendous job of taking us down that path. It's been an extremely interesting Chintan Shivir. Thank you very much for participating, and thank you very much, our panelists, for doing a stellar job at what you were tasked out to do.